Just another Russian election. I'm astonished by the outcome here, I must say. So, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but in last place, with only 26% of the vote, is Kemerovo. I'm not sure how that happened, but it did. Then in second place, with 35% of the vote, we have Kemerovo. And in first place, with 39% of the vote, we have got Kemerovo. So, Kemerovo wins. Huzzah! We're staying in Kemerovo. And yes, I was completely playing to people in YouTube who can't see the poll. Kemerovo is too important. We're staying here. 5% stability is also really, really important. I'll be taking that. And also the stability impacts revenues, right? I think it does. Where did I see that? It would have been in here. Income? Maybe it was spending? Or interest? No, the interest hasn't changed. Then I don't know. Horizontal industrial organization is done, so we can now squeeze more industries into our realm. It is also January 65, so we could get another 10% resource gain efficiency. I'm not sure that's worthwhile. We still don't have this gun. You know what? We want the AK-47. It's a Russian gun, for goodness sake. While further internal changes may not be possible, developing weapon attachments to resolve any remaining shortcomings can help extend the rifle's lifespan. Definitely going for that. Wallace F. Bennett inaugurated as the President of the United States. In a surprise turn of events, the Democratic Party... Hey, Shenrir! Thank you very much for the raid. Slurp, you... okay. I'm not sure that's quite what you meant, but that's what slurp means to me. Hello, hello, hello. How are you all doing? Good to see you joining us. Welcome back to this game of the best Russian principality ever, which is the Grand Principality of Central Siberia, formerly known as the Principality of Kemerovo. How's the mod treating? It's really good. I'm still absolutely in love with this. It's so good. So yes, if you are joining us for the first time, this is the New Order Last Days of Europe mod, which is new for Heart of Iron 4. It only came out a couple of days ago. And we are playing as the Principality of Kemerovo, led by this fellow. This absolutely audaciously awesome character. He was a Soviet general once known as Major General Nikolai Ivanovich Krylov, now better known, however, as Rurik II. He was a Soviet general who fought in the Second World War, and the big difference here compared to other mods is, one, it's 1965, and two, the world looks a bit different. And the reason for that is Germany won the Second World War, and in so doing, the Soviet Union completely imploded. And poor old Rurik II, or Krylov, was one of those Soviet generals. And he lost a battle, and then he lost another battle, and another battle, and another battle, another one, another one, another one, another one, until eventually his mind just shattered. And he suddenly woke up and thought, you know what, I am in fact a Viking. I've had that kind of revelation too. So he then started styling himself as Rurik II of the tiny little principality of Kemerovo, which was this big. You start with just the one state. And over time, we have been expanding our borders, expanding our borders, expanding our borders, and we are now the Grand Principality of Central Siberia. We have just become recognized as a mid-sized state, which has also meant that all of the economic options of the game have just unleashed themselves. It has completely eradicated our industry. We went from having a something like -10 consumer goods requirement to having a +70% consumer goods requirement. It has been a rather massive swing, which has kind of annihilated my ability to actually build anything. But we are getting over that slowly but surely. We're investing a lot of money, and there is in fact money in the mod now, into various programs to beef up our industry, to beef up our education, to beef up the agriculture, and all of that stuff. It goes into a ton of detail through the societal development, and these are just like the mobilization options or trade options in base game Hearts of Iron 4, but you can't just select them. These are things that trend up or down over time depending on where you're investing your money. So I'm going $2 billion into debt in the last year, just basically building up the societal development, because our society is so basic, our efficiency is so terrible that we are losing tons and tons of money just regularly. Is there still focus tree stuff to do with Central Siberia? Yes, I'll show you that in a minute. So we're building that up at the moment. That is one of the branches of recovery. The second one is the focus tree, which I will show you in a minute once I've read this event so I can get out of the way. Wallace F. Bennett inaugurated as the President of the United States. In a surprise turn of events, the Democratic Party, thought to have been long extinguished as a major political force, has come crashing back into power. Wallace F. Bennett of the Republican Democrats today won a narrow victory against the National Progressive Party to become the President of these United States of America. Bennett utilized his acceptance speech to call on a bitterly divided America to join together as one nation to face down the struggles of the day. Mild-mannered and averse to political extremes, Bennett believes that a middle ground between both sides of the civil rights debate is possible. He has also proposed to expand America's diplomatic and economic outreach with fellow OFN partners and other neutral nations, breaking from the cloak and dagger approach of the Nixon administration. Will he prove a master of compromise? So what's happened in the USA is Nixon did Watergate, and playing as the United States, you do have a choice as to whether you want to Watergate or not. He was caught. Then he resigned before he was... whatever the word is. It's not inaugurated, it's the opposite to that. Americans will know what I mean. Then Kennedy came in. Kennedy was promptly assassinated after about 2 months in office. Then they had an election, and that is what... impeached, thank you. That is what Wallace F. Bennett just won. So the United States now has a new president. So, focus tree. As soon as you form the Grand Principality of Central Siberia and finish the focus tree of the Principality of Kemerovo, you get this one. And this one is rather bigger than the previous. Bearing in mind, this is still, I think, choose your own story, so things may well change, particularly because the issue of our succession has not been decided. There are 3 children for Nikolai Krylov, Rurik II. That is Princess Lydia, who's very much in favour of authoritarian law and order. Then we've got Prince Yuri, who is in favour of reform, more communist ideals, is more pro-equality. And then there's the third brother, Boris, who we've not really heard very much about, except for the fact that Boris is an amazing general. He's very good with his tanks, and frankly, this tank division is the key to the fact that we've grown this big. We are one of the few Russian Siberian warlords to have had a tank corps, and it has paid off many times. We also have shield maidens, who are kind of awesome, and then the regular infantry. But anyway, those are the 3 children, and like I said, the issue of succession has not been decided. Boris is kind of neutral. He's much more of a compromiser. He also seems a bit more passive than the other 2, whereas Yuri and Lydia hate each other. I've just made Boris the Premier of Tomsk, which was this region up here. It's the big one. However, Lydia still has most of her initiatives went through. So at the start of the game, we were going Lydia, 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 and it seemed very likely that we would stick with Lydia until the election, until the appointment for the governor of Tomsk came up, and then Yuri's proposal was just so much stronger. He was basically saying, I want to harken back to Novgorod. Like, who doesn't love Novgorod? And so we gave him control of Tomsk, and he's actually done a bloody good job as the governor there. Massively increased spending in the cultures and the arts, instead of just trampling over the democratic ideals of Tomsk. Tomsk is the legitimate Russian Republic start area, so they have really big democracy issues. Instead of just trampling all over that, he created some elected offices, though he still has the aristocracy in charge. So he's done a really good job, and we've had basically no problems bar one little uprising in that area. So yeah, the jury is still out, and both of them, and there is like a modifier or a influence tracker, and at the moment actually Yuri is ahead, though only just. We just had an event which basically swung it towards Yuri. Before then it was considered balanced. So yeah, succession is definitely an issue. Ivan the Terrible, he didn't like Novgorod. Okay, yeah, you're not wrong there. And this is the third focus tree now, yes. We've had 2 more prior to this. Scandal that brings down Nixon happens no matter what, I think. You can get a choice, but I don't think it matters for that outcome. Oh, I'm pretty sure you do get a choice. Because you literally have a focus, which is, do you want to... Oh, this has changed. USA has a new focus tree. Do you want to do Watergate, or do you not want to do Watergate? So Nixon can avoid that if he wants. Also, we're on DEFCON 5. We've been sitting on DEFCON 1 for such a long time, with nuclear annihilation basically definite. We had a big superpower war down here. Basically, South Africa was this world's Vietnam. We had the United States supporting the Union South Africa, then Germany supporting the Shield, the African Shield nations, which is basically all of this. It was a stalemate. So borders did not change. But that brought us to DEFCON 1. So did the giant German Civil War. We've just finished that just before you guys joined us. 5-way technically Civil War in 6-way if you include Himmler. Civil War which Bormann just won. This guy is now the new Führer. But Germany unfortunately is still around. In better news, however, the AB is slowly but surely being annihilated by Samara. So the bad guys aren't winning everywhere. Played it and half the tree is already completed for Nixon. Oh, interesting. Okay. First worker of the mods to join the stream said US starts with get your hands dirty focus already complete. I wonder if they're planning to do an earlier start date then, where you get to choose that. Because there's focuses before it. It's like 3 or 4 down, I think, if memory serves. Is there a Jewish state in Madagascar? Yes, there is. 4-way civil war there as well. So the Far East hasn't really changed much. Russia is slowly but surely starting to coalesce into bigger states. I've taken over Central Siberia. There is a huge war going on for Western Siberia right now, with Irkutsk, Magadan, and Divine Mandate of Siberia all fighting each other. Irkutsk is probably the strongest state of those. If they can take Magadan out, I think they've got it. But Mandate of Siberia is just really big, as you can see. So they may still win that one. And then Eastern Siberia is still very much mixed up, and I don't yet know who's going to win this. I'm just glad it's not going to be the AB. Europe, meanwhile, we've had the Ostland divide up, so Ukraine, Poland, and Slovakia, I think, have all split out, so they're not necessarily in German control anymore. Letland still is. The Moscow Autonomy is a independent Russian state. They kicked the Germans out of Moscow, and we still have these German sovereign zones kind of sprinkled around. New Poland! So we have a Poland and a new Poland now. Interesting. Although I think that this is still a German faction? No, maybe not. Although Fieldorf sounds very German. Oh, and then Britain had a huge uprising as well. And the British Resistance won, so Claude Auchinleck is now the new Prime Minister of the English Transitional Government, so Britain's independent. Although they do have fascists in Wales. Fascist Wales. Oh wow, it's as chaotic as this man's hairstyle. Zing! You're right. East is that way. West is that way. And even that I'm having to mirror. Right, onwards. So at the moment we're just trying to basically consolidate all of our gains, because we went expansion, 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 and then basically hit this massive wall where it's just like, oh, by the way, you can't actually control all of the territories you've taken. So the big issue that we're fighting against are these two focuses. So we have overextended administration, which, as you can see, is painful. 35% less political power gain, 35% less stability, which is killer, 15% consumer goods reduction, and then we also have the legacy of the Siberian Uprising. This one does go away in 10 months' time. 9 months' time, I can count. Which is as bad. 20% consumer goods, 20% construction speed, though that doesn't matter, we have no factories, and then 20% factory output. That one does matter. Speaking of factory output, can we start building some more units? No, I don't think so, not yet. We do have a whole bunch of troops in training, though. So our armed forces will be expanding. The shield broken. The Africa Shield was an alliance of convenience between the German colonies of Africa seeking to secure their survival in the wake of the German Civil War. When they invaded South Africa, many assumed it would eventually unravel, either due to the constituent regime's collapse or an OFN military victory. But it came at most unexpected cause: betrayal from within. American intelligence has verified reports that Hans Hüttig, Reichskommissar of Ostafrika, has murdered his compatriot Wolfgang Schenk and forced Siegfried Müller to flee the continent. Hüttig has once again proclaimed a Grossafrikanische Reichsstaat, comprising all of German Africa, with himself as the sole leader. However, this has outraged the Germans, who declared the new regime illegitimate. Without aid from hope, can the future of Hüttig's superstate looks bleak. Although now that Germany is reunited, maybe they will support. Because that's one hell of a nation. What's the military attack? We're slowly but surely trying to get to the AK-47, though we are quite behind the times. We're currently on 1954 technology, researching 1956. It is 1965. We do have pretty modern tanks. We've got 1960s APCs, which we're actually building, and also 1960s tanks, which we're not currently, but we could. And I am planning to focus on a fairly mechanized military. We don't have any artillery investments yet. We should. We've almost completed our doctrine. We've gone for the strategic theorem doctrine, and it's actually proving to be pretty darn strong. And then industry. We've actually been doing a lot of resource upgrades, not because we need oil. We're actually an oil producer, we have plenty of it, but because we need rubber. And this is how you get more rubber per refinery, and then also more refineries. So we're trying to overcome our rubber deficits at the moment, so we can actually build motorized and APCs, and most importantly, aircraft. I want to see Samara win. Come on, Samara. You're getting a couple of these horrible cut-offs, which are making me a little bit nervous. Don't do this to me now, please. Lake Baikal is within reach. Soon the great Siberian longships will set sail. It is pretty close. Monuments to our victories. Done. So next up we have the Affairs of the Realm. A minor issue. That sounds really unlike a minor issue. Oh, that might open up these ones. Internal politics stabilized. Maybe. With its position finally secure, the Principality must look inwards. Lords need to be expanded to fit a larger population, bureaucrats recruited to administer the new provinces, and officers promoted to protect the borders. Tsar Rurik himself will oversee the creation of a new legislation and place the royal seal upon the most pragmatic proposals. The aristocracy will be given permission to draft laws unique to their own fiefs, but ultimately everyone must answer to the Zemski Sobor. Lastly, an important issue needs to be considered. Siberia is a large and unforgiving place, so infrastructure is key to reclaiming the rust of Rus. Local enterprises will be subsidized to promote the development of roads and communication networks. If the kingdom is to succeed, it will need to be able to draw upon the land, ensure that its laws are heard by all. And we have decisions. Revitalize national service, that's manpower. Encourage returning expatriates, that's also manpower. Right? Right. And while that does improve stability and GDP, I think I would rather invest in these. And yes! The bastards are dead! The AB has been defeated by the Committee for the Liberation of the Peoples of Russia. Good. Well done, Samara. One of the evils is dead. The Committee for the Liberation of the Peoples of Russia declared war on Komi. Oh dear. And Komi is already being killed by the West Russian Revolutionary Front. So this looks like it's going to be a fight for the Uralic... What would you call the lands in front of the Urals? Because we're Siberia, we're behind the Urals, but these aren't Siberian. Fun fact, the game has over 50 event deaths for Dull Wagner. Interesting. European Russia? Yeah, probably. Oh, we got things that we can deploy. I think that's our infantry. Alrighty. Boom. And I would say you lot as well. Oops. Okay, start those guys training. And then all of the specialists can move on out. Let's spread you out a little bit as well. Affairs of the Realm, national focus completed. So, from here, we could administer the kingdom, install regional posadniks, royal edicts, promote the new culture or lessons from Konstantina. Reduces the administrative strain on a state. That's okay, all of these do that. That reduces coring cost. We don't have any problems with that. Repurpose the monasteries. We may have looted them ever so slightly. Just a little bit. Promote new culture. That's just political power. Increases consumer goods factories by 5%. But that is a massive increase in stability. So I'm thinking that we should probably do the administration. And then we'll have another choice to make between Yuri and Lydia. Do it. With the acquisition of new land, King Rurik has proclaimed the Royal Ministry of Internal Affairs. Modelled after pre-war institutions, the organisation's objective will be to integrate existing institutions, foster economic development and reconstruction efforts, and ensure a smoother bureaucracy. Naturally, both Yuri and Lydia will try to compete for control over the ministry, so the Tsar will have to decide which of his children to favour. So they're going to be monasteries now. Haha! Oh, another choice. Another day. Another heated argument for the Zemsky Sabor. What was once thought to be a minor issue has escalated to become another verbal battlefield for the two wolves, Prince Yuri and Princess Lydia, to do battle on. To intrude upon the rights of the local populace would be tantamount to tyranny, no matter how small the intrusion. Yes, today it may only be roads and telephone lines, but what of tomorrow? I wholeheartedly agree. The realm must be connected, but we cannot do that without the express consent of the people. As always, Yuri was nothing if not passionate. His sister Lydia rolled her eyes. Again, this talk of rights, Yuri. How tiresome. Perhaps you would like us to ask the ground if it would be okay for us to build on top of it? Maybe we should ensure that the god-given rights of the woodland animals aren't infringed upon either. Laughter could be heard around some of the council in response. Rurik II was so distraught at the sight of his children arguing with each other in such a way, but he did his level best not to show it. It was clear, however, that the two would not budge. Soon enough, the council would be looking to their king to break the deadlock. Pay heed to Yuri, or to Lydia. Alright, well, you know what's going to happen. It's voting time, Sobor. Who wins this time? And it's literally just saying Yuri or Lydia. Doesn't matter what the argument is. Yuri. Lydia. And I'm going to make this a 1 minute. I don't think you need 2 minutes for this one. Go. Vote, vote, vote. Let's get these votes on. Get your votes in. And again, as a reminder, votes at the top of the chat. Dahority, thank you very much for the follow. Welcome to the channel. Skyhawk. Michael Quintanilia, thank you also very much for the follows. Welcome to the channel. Lydia shall carry our burdens. This is remarkably even. No, no, no. Thank you. That was on 50-50 for so long. Chart! Come on! Okay, so Yuri got a percentage of the vote, so did Lydia. And Lydia managed to get 49%, which does mean that Yuri is the victor with 51%. Also, CLK, thank you very much for the contribution of 29,000 channel points. And Callsign Slinky with the contribution of 350 bits. Thank you very much for that, Slinky. Again, very generous, and I appreciate it. Okay, so this time Yuri wins. We shall pay heed to Prince Yuri and ask for permission from the people to do the stuff that we need to do. Meanwhile, another decision is available, so we can get some more investment going. Money, it's just a number. It's just a number, like manpower. Alright, so we've got the improved worker training, which will start our industrial expertise going up. Now remember, our industrial expertise is actually fairly decent, so we don't necessarily need that. We can bring in some new research facilities, and again, research facilities aren't bad. That will, however... Oh no, both of these moderately improve GDP. This one's more expensive. And then finally we have the foreign instructors, which will increase our army professionalism, but it's only a slight improvement to GDP. No improvement to GDP. This is just a cost. Oh, screw that. So it's going to be between these two. Expertise versus research. So if we just take a quick look at the moment, our research facilities are outdated, but that's only one slot away from modern. Although actually you can go further down here. So... that, or we can have the expertise. So currently we have the nascent industrial base. We can get to experienced. That will only lead to innovative, which I think is less of a bonus, so I think I'm going to go for the research, because this one we can get ahead, technically. Although we've already got the doctrine bonus. We don't have air or naval. I wonder if we'll skip these and go to this one. I wonder if this one's like unique to countries. It might be. Okay, so yeah, we're going to do research facilities. I think that makes the most sense. Invest in scientific research. This will cost us 200 million of national debt. So be it. What percentage is this now? Deficit to income ratio is 25.6. That's actually going down. It was 27 for a bit. That's good. That's very good. Navy? What's a navy? It's when you get tanks and they float on the rivers and things, I think. Apparently the Vikings did it.